Hello again, my book besties. I'm Elizabeth. If you are new to my channel, welcome, or welcome back if you have been watching before. Today we're going to go over my 2024 reading journal. So I should have filmed this before the month started, but it just didn't register for me, and I've already started filling it in, so some parts are going to be filled in a little bit. I do think I took some pictures because I did like the 2024 reading journal over on my TikTok where I did pictures only. So if you want to see what it looked like before I started filling it out, my TikTok is linked in the bio, and you can go see where I showed just pictures of it there before I started. But parts of this will be filled out, and I'm sorry about that. But each month I'm gonna go through, like in February, I'm gonna go through just the month of January, or go through some of the challenges to see where I have filled it in. And I do plan to show you each month where it has been filled in, and you can see kind of how I go along with it. But starting out, this is just this is an 8x8 journal from Archer and Olive. I just really thought that I needed a bigger one this year because last year I did not really get through it at all. I did not have very many stickers or journaling supplies, and so I just didn't like the way it turned out, and I never finished filling it out. I do plan to go back and fill out the books that I read and give my thoughts. I just wasn't in a rush, and when I do, I'll come on and show it to you guys. But this year I just love the way it turned out, and so I feel a little more motivated. It is now, the end of January. It's not February quite yet, so I do plan to go fill in some more, and I'll show you guys that in February once it's fully filled out for January. But it's a little easier for me to do when I get excited to do it. So I will show you, the cover page is just really simple. And on the cover page, make sure you can see it, I just have my name and a couple of stickers. The next page is just kind of, well, the first one was my name page. This is more my cover page, so I don't have the best handwriting, so ignore this, but I just put one of my favorite bookish quotes there. And then on the next side, it is just my title page. And all of the stickers, they've come from various Etsy shops, and I will list them down below. I've got some from Journalland, Paper Minty Studios, TheGingerCatCo, and I've got some from Stick with Dinah. Like, I just have quite a few, and so all the ones that I know and remember, I will put them down below for you. I won't know which is which. I'd love to say that I do, but I know that I won't, but I will go ahead and just list them all, and then you can go through and look at their Etsy page at what fits for you. Next, I made a little bit of an index page where I've got page numbers of where each of my challenges are. That way when I'm looking for them later, I can find them. And then I've started with January here. And I'll just, with the next one, I'll just go where February starts, and then I'll just know all my Januaries between here and here because I don't have enough space. And then I kind of just went through my rating system, and this is my rating system for stars and spice. And so for the stars, if I give it 5 stars, I said it's amazing, I can't stop thinking about it, and I will recommend till the day I die. 4 stars, really enjoyed, would recommend, great book. It just wasn't, where I'm gonna be talking about it forever, thinking about it daily, but I will think about it. I just, I'll think about it for a little bit. 3 stars was just okay. It wasn't memorable. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I may not remember the names in the book or exactly what happened, but it was okay. I liked it. Didn't love or hate it. 2 stars for me was I disliked it more than I liked it. I didn't really enjoy it. I would not recommend it. And then 1 star, I wish I didn't read it. I kind of hated everything about it. I would not recommend it, but I did finish it. And if I DNF a book, I don't rate it because I don't feel it's fair for me to rate a book I didn't finish. With the spice rating, 5 chili peppers, what means there's extra spice throughout. There were kinks or unusual sexual acts in there. 4 was great spice, detailed in at least 3 or more scenes. that was for 3 chili peppers, good spicy scenes, but they weren't super present. So they may have just had 1 or 2 scenes in there throughout a longer book, but they were good and memorable. 2 chili peppers were spicy scenes are present, but they were more on the vanilla side. And then 1 pepper is a fade to black. No spice is described, but it is insinuated. And if I don't put a chili pepper, it's probably why there is no spice even mentioned at all or insinuated. Okay, so next we have my goals page. Sorry. So on my goals page, we have my social media goals up here for my Instagram or my Bookstagram, Book Talk, and BookTube. And in pink, I just kind of put where I started at the beginning of the year, and then as I progress, I'm going. I have not finished filling this out all the way, but I'm close. This is my physical TBR. I do want to read more than this. This is just all the space I had. So I'm going by month. So light blue is January. I'll probably have a pink for February. That way I can see how many I read in each month on there. And then my reading goals here, Colleen Hoover, Frida McFadden, and Lauren Beale. This is how many books in their backlog I have not read, and I plan to try to read the backlog for those 3 authors for this year. And then I have horror books. I'm not a big horror reader, but my goal is to read more horror, so I have 3 there. My goal is to read 3 horror books for the year. Next, my least favorite page, because I'm not that artistic, but this is the anticipated releases, and I basically just got each month laid out, you know, January, February, March, April, and it goes all the way to December. And I am writing in my anticipated releases with their release date in each spot. So like February, Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton comes out, so I've written her in, and then I highlight the ones that I've pre-ordered. So I've got 3 out of this whole list pre-ordered so far. Next, we've got our trackers. So we've got a genre tracker over here. I really regretted putting these in color. I wish I would have done them just in plain black like I did on this page, but it is what it is. I've already done it. But this is my genre tracker. So for each month, I will put like how many romances, how many thrillers, how many memoirs, how many fantasy that I read, and just keep track of how many I'm reading of each genre, just to kind of see where I'm at. It will probably be mostly romance. And then over here is my stats tracker by the month. And in this one, it has stats like how many books I read each month, how many pages were read, hours listened, how many were physical, audiobooks, ebooks, gifted, purchase, how much money I spent on books, and how much money, like individual, and how much money I spent on my book subscriptions, just so I can keep track of my spending. And then how many YouTube and TikTok followers that I have each month, so I can see the growth. Next, I have my series tracker page. So I've kind of filled the first page, and then I've left room for series I'm going to start. But basically, these are series that I own. These are not all of the series I own. These are just the ones that I know that I want to start this year, or some I've already started. So whatever's in the dark purple is what I read before 2024. And then I'm doing this by month, kind of like how I did on my goals page. So anything in light blue is what I've read for January, and then I'll change the color. That way I can see, okay, well, I started this series in 2023 and I read 1 of the books in January and 3 in February, and you know, so I just kind of keep track of the month. That was just my personal preference, and I'll see how I like that. It's the first time I'm doing that. And then I've got my buddy reads page. So I buddy read with some of my TikTok girlies. We did Nero by S.J. Tilley in January, and I am going to be starting one February 1st, and it's another S.J. Tilley. It is Smoky Darling, so I will put that in here, and I'll highlight it pink for February. This blue was for January, just to kind of keep track. And then I wrote in here the date we started, the title and author, and then the date that I finished it, and who I buddy read with. So this one, we started January 5th. It was Nero by S.J. Tilley, and it was with some of my TikTok or Book Talk girls, April, Tashana, and The Siren, which if you follow me on TikTok, I tag them all the time, so you can definitely buddy read with us. It is an open buddy read, and they do discussions usually through Fabled. And then I finished it on January 8th. So it took me 3 days. The next one I'm doing is just Tashana and I. And so I will put that on there. But of course, you guys are welcome to join us. And then my next page, these are where I'm tracking my subscriptions and special editions. So I'm currently subscribed to the Probably Smut box. I just got into Bell Book Box, so I will be getting their first box here, and I'll write in the books that came. Dark and Quirky, I just got in. I'll be getting their Winter 2024 box, and I'll write in the books that came there as well. This one is quarterly. Bell Book Box is bi-monthly. Probably Smut is monthly. And then I also just got into the Baddies book box, and I will start with their February one. They have already mentioned what their February books are, so I did write them in there. And then one-time book boxes, so I can keep track of what I order, because sometimes I forget I order them because they don't come until months later. And then I can keep track of the spending as well. So once I read Nero, I fell in love with it. That's S.J. Tilly, and I bought her whole Alliance series as a special edition that she had on her website. So I put that in there, and I put when it's supposed to ship so I can keep track, and then what I spent on it. And then I did, through a Facebook group I'm in, they have a Valentine's Day box, and then I got a special edition of Latte Darling through the Fabled box, and I bought that through Mercari, but it was a special edition, and so I put that in what I spent. This one I've kind of messed up a little bit already, but this is gifted and hauled books, and I do Wishlist Wednesdays, so I only planned to write in here ones that I wasn't trading off, you know, one where we weren't doing a fairy, I buy one, they buy one, because I do that so often. I feel like I wouldn't have enough room on the page. I meant to do just ones that like I won in a giveaway, or that were just gifted out of the kindness of somebody's heart, or books that I personally bought and hauled because I'm keeping track of spending. And I accidentally wrote just yesterday ones that I did through a Wishlist Wednesday, but it's okay. They are still gifted, and so I may switch how I do that, but I did them all in blue to show it was January, and I did just order a couple other books that I need to put in here, and the ones I personally buy, I'm keeping track of the cost that way for my tracker. Next, I have my little shelfie that I drew. It is not the best, but I liked how it turned out. So I drew a shelf, and then I kind of put like a little couch, and I added some stickers over here. And then what I'm doing is every time I finish a book, I was going to try to make it look like the cover, which is why the first two look different, and I didn't like how that was turning out. A lot of my covers are black or dark, as you can see from what we went through. You know, I have a few here in front of me, but most of them are like black or darker. So it was kind of hard to do, and I didn't just want like a black bookshelf. So after the first two, I decided to do it by genre, and I wrote myself like a little code down here, or key. So the pink ones are romance. I have other, was this an other? I have other in like a gray, and that's kind of like for poetry books or things that like I didn't think to write down here, and then I read a poetry book. I have memoirs, fantasy, thrillers, and so I just have different colors, and then I put the title of the book in it. I did that with last year's, and I enjoyed it. So this shelf I think has about 144 books because my goal is 100. Next, I have my physical TBR, and I have a few pages of these. So crazy enough, I finally counted my physical TBR and tracked them in Goodreads. These are books I physically own that I have not read yet. And there was quite a few, almost 400. So I did write them all out individually. And as I'm getting books that I'm purchasing or gifted, I'm adding them. And I left some space to add. So I've been adding ones that I've purchased. But this, you know, is a few pages long. And then as I'm reading these off of my shelf, I am marking them with a little, where's one? Right here. I'm marking them with a little circle, and then I'm coloring it in with the month that I have chosen to color code. So all of them in there right now are blue for January and for what I've read off my physical. Next, I decided to do a daily reading tracker this time. I did not do this last year, but I have the month, and then I have mine split by the day by audio and physical. So the pages read is on top of each day, and the hours read or minutes read is on the bottom. So for the first like 5 days of the month, I read less than 50 pages, but I listened to more than 3 hours. I had a lot of audios going at the time, and now that I've got towards the bottom, you can see it's changed. I've been reading more physical, and the audio is still pretty steady. I still listen to a lot, like while I'm cooking or at work. So that's my daily reading tracker. Then I have my 24 in 2024, and these are 24 books that I really want to read in 2024. Most of these are physically on my shelf. I think one isn't, and that's because it's manacled. And it's a fanfic, and I do have that in my Kindle though. And so what I've done with these, because I've already read quite a few for January, is my January color was blue. So I've just kind of outlined in blue. Where's one? Like Losers Part 1 I read in January. So I outlined it in blue to kind of make it look like the pages. And I can kind of see when I read each one. And so I'll go over that whenever I show this in February and we go over my January reads. I'll talk about that. And then we've got my 2024 Goodreads challenge, which is basically how many books I've set a goal for to read. My goal was 100. So of course I'm doing the light blue for the books that I have finished in January, and then I'll do different colors. So when I look at it, I can easily see how many I read each month. Next to it is our A to Z challenge, and just the name of the book. And I'm just doing the title of the book. So like I read Butcher and Blackbird, so I wrote a B for Butcher, or I put Butcher and Blackbird in B, and I'm going to try to fill it up for the year. And then I think for X and Z, if I can't find a book that starts with it, I will just do like a book that has that letter in it. I then have a generic book bingo that I just came up with based on the types of books that I already read or that I'm hoping to read. So for example, and I'm doing the color coding on this one also. So for example, a Doorstopper, which is a book more than 500 pages, a sports romance, a manga, a retelling, a new to me author, a debut author. So I put random stuff in here, and then the ones I've already been able to fill in for January are in my January color blue. And then I have more bingos on this side, and one of them is a book boyfriend bingo that's on the top, and I just put in random ones, and I've already done, in blue, and then I'm writing off to the side what book it is, because I'm trying to not use the same book on the book boyfriend as I use for this kink one that I got from the Smut Hoods page on Facebook. So I'm trying to keep it separate and still have to kind of search these out. So for example, one of the books that I read in January, I could put here, and honestly, I could have filled in most of these kinks with it. It was a pretty gnarly book, but I don't want to do both. I should have put it on a kink because there were so many in there, but I didn't. But I said just random book boyfriends and then some of the kinks. I don't know if you can really see it, but I'm going to try to do not cross use those. Then I have my 2024 book bracket. I did this a little different than I had set up last year's, which I do have my journal set up posted from last year. It's just not as nice, and I never finished it. But basically, these are my month colors. That's how I'm keeping track also. So January, February, I'll write my favorite book for January, my top book for February, and then they'll battle. And then so on and so on. And then the first 6 months worth of books will battle for one slot, and the second half of the year will battle, and then my tops from those will be my top book for the year. Then I have my book awards, which I just filmed my book awards video for this year, but I didn't have it like this. Basically, I have a spot where I'm going to print out a picture of my favorite book of the year, my longest book, my shortest book, and my least favorite, and kind of put them in these frames. And then here, this is my tops. These are my bottoms. My tops, these are going to be like my top author, my top genre, my top format, my top couple or book boyfriend, and then the exact same for the bottoms. Here will be like a favorite quote, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to put here yet. I just left a little more room in case there's something else I wanted to put there. And then most likely this is where I will put like my top genre format, because I really wouldn't have like a bottom. There's only a couple options, so that's probably where I'll put these. Then I haven't gone that far in this yet, but I need to catch up. This is my books at a glance. So I've put the star rating next to a picture that I printed out of the cover. And this is just so I can look at it and see my books for the year. I left enough slots for like 150 books, I think, because I did a few pages for this. Next we get to our first monthly spread, which January is the only month I have so far. I'm not going to do the other months until they come up because I don't know how many pages I'm going to use after it, and that's based on the books read. So I have a little calendar here, and I'm going to leave this spot for like a favorite quote, I think, or maybe here I'll put like my top book or something like that. And then I've just kind of put some things in here, like if I've ordered something, I've got my subscription boxes, when I got in, when they were charged, and I'm putting the price. If I did like a wish list Wednesday, like here I put a ×3. I know that I did 3, then I can watch for those 3 to come in. If I want any giveaways, I put things just so I can keep track, because if you're like me and you pre-order things or special editions, they're not going to come right away. Sometimes they don't come for months, and I will forget. This is a better way for me to keep track of them. And then this is my January cover page, and I've made circles here where I'm going to put like a pie chart of my ratings, my hours versus pages, the format, the genre, and I'll just have a pie chart. And here I may put a quote or just add some more pie charts if I see fit to do that. And then after that, I'm doing just my thoughts on the books. So with these, that's why I'm not going to do February till I get through these, because I have to see like how many pages I'll need. I'm not going to do a full spread for all of them. Some books, if they weren't my favorite or they were like a novella or something I don't have a lot of thoughts, I may split pages and put 2 on 1. So I'm going to work on doing those this week before the month ends. But basically I put, like, I read The Words by AJ. This was the first book I read. Now this doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to be in order like this, because like I said, I may have half pages and that's just going to go with, you know, I'm not going to go in order just because I don't know what order I'm going to read them. But I printed a picture out of the cover. I put my star rating, my spice rating. Underneath it, I put the format. And so this one was an audio, so I put how many hours it was. If it's a physical copy, I'm going to put how many pages. That way I can kind of add it up easier. And then I just, with this one, after the cover, I put a quote I liked from the book and some little like music notes because it was a rock star romance. And then I put my thoughts. Losers Part 1, it's a why choose, and it has several characters. Oh, I'm trying to making this difficult. I haven't finished filling it in, but basically I put each of the characters and just talked a little bit about them. This one was a 5-star spicy, so I did have a little bit to say about that. I read the prequel to that, which was a little novella called The Dare last year, and so I just have part 2 of The Losers to finish that duology. But that's basically how my 2024 reading journal is set up. Once I get through and write, you know, put my covers for the other books I read for the month, and I know where February is, I will draw out February. And then I will come here and show you guys my January wrap up and my February spread. So that was my 2024 reading journal. Said I do have a past one that wasn't as great, but it is posted here if you want to see it. And it was much smaller. It was an A5, and I just felt with the way I wanted to decorate it, and I write large. Then an 8x8 would fit me better, and I am loving it so far. So tell me your thoughts. Do you have a reading journal? What spreads do you have, and what challenges are you doing? Because I also follow on Goodreads a reading, I want to say it's a reading, like a book club kind of, and it's called Shut Up and Read. And they do several challenges that I'm also doing that I did not put in here because there's so many. But if you guys are interested in that, let me know and I can get on and show you what those challenges are and how I track those through Goodreads. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so sorry again for the late post on this reading journal, but I'm working on getting better on that. Thank you, friends. I will see you in the next video.